hear you. I'm always listening.
It started about 3 weeks after I moved into the ground floor apartment on Norwood Street, Portland, Oregon. Early October. A 1-bedroom in an old Victorian house that had been chopped into 4 units. It was cheap, which is why I ignored the drafty windows and the landlord's vague warnings about keeping the windows locked. I'm 28. I work from home as a graphic designer. My world had shrunk to that 600 square foot apartment and the coffee shop 2 blocks away. The smart speaker was a housewarming gift from my sister. She said it would help with the loneliness. Most nights, I'd fall asleep to podcasts or rain sounds streaming from the small white cylinder on my nightstand. The first time I noticed something off was October 17th, a Tuesday. I woke up at 3:47 a.m. to use the bathroom. As I was drifting back to sleep, I heard it, a faint, staticky whisper, coming from the speaker. I couldn't make out words. It was like listening to a radio station from 100 miles away. Just snippets of sound buried under white noise. I figured it was a glitch, maybe the podcast app crashing and playing dead air. I rolled over and went back to sleep. The next night, it happened again. This time I was already awake. Scrolling through my phone at 2:15 a.m., the whisper started, low and crackling. I sat up in bed to listen. It was definitely coming from the speaker, and it definitely sounded like a voice. A woman's voice. I couldn't understand what it was saying, but the cadence was familiar. The rhythm of speech, the pauses between words. I said, "Alexa, stop." The sound cut out immediately. In the morning, I checked the activity log in the app. It showed no audio playback between midnight and 6 a.m. Just silence. I rationalized it, of course. Old house with weird electrical wiring. Interference from a neighbor's device. My half-asleep brain interpreting random noise as speech. I turned off the speaker's microphone at night after that. Pressed the little button on top until the red light glowed. Problem solved. Except, it wasn't. 3 nights later, October 22nd, I forgot to turn off the microphone. I woke up at 3:33 a.m. to the sound of the whisper again. But this time, it was different, clearer, and it was saying something I could almost understand. I lay frozen in bed, my heart hammering, as the staticky voice repeated a phrase over and over. It sounded like pleading, like someone begging. The words were muffled, buried under layers of interference. But I caught one word, clear as day. Stop! I lunged for the speaker and yanked the plug from the wall. The silence that followed was deafening. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I sat in the corner of my living room with all the lights on, watching the bedroom door like something was going to walk through it. The next day, I called my sister. I told her the speaker was haunted. She laughed and said I needed to get out more. Suggested maybe someone was broadcasting over Bluetooth. Some kid messing around. I checked my network settings. The speaker was password protected. No unknown devices connected. I did a factory reset anyway. Set it up again from scratch. Put it back on my nightstand. For a week, nothing happened. I started to relax. Even used the speaker during the day for music and timers. Convinced myself it was a fluke. Some weird electromagnetic phenomenon I'd resolved by resetting the device. I stopped sleeping with the lights on. Then came the night of November 2nd. I'd had a long day, fallen asleep early. Around 9:30 p.m., I woke up at 2:18 a.m. to a sound I didn't recognize at first. It was the whisper, But it wasn't staticky anymore. It was clear, crystal clear, and it was my voice. I lay there, paralyzed, as my own voice emanated from the speaker on my nightstand. My exact inflection, my Portland accent, my way of dragging out certain vowels. It was saying the same thing over and over in a desperate, breathless whisper. Please no. Please stop. Someone help me. Please no. Begging, pleading. And underneath the words, I could hear other sounds. Muffled thumps. A man's voice, low and angry, too distorted to make out. The sound of something heavy being dragged across a floor. I wanted to move. I wanted to run, but my body wouldn't respond. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to myself being attacked in my own bedroom. The loop played for what felt like an eternity. 3 minutes, maybe 5. Then it stopped, and the speaker went silent. I don't remember getting out of bed. I don't remember grabbing my phone. The next thing I knew, I was sitting in my car in the parking lot behind the apartment. The engine running, the doors locked, waiting for the sun to come up. I called my sister at 6 a.m. She didn't laugh this time. She told me to come stay with her. I spent 3 days on her couch, trying to make sense of it. I searched online for similar stories, found forums about smart speakers picking up radio frequencies, intercepting police scanners, playing back old recordings, found threads about ghost voices that turned out to be hoaxes. Nothing fit. Nothing explained how my voice, my specific voice, saying words I'd never said, was playing through a device that had been factory reset and had its microphone disabled at night. On November 5th, I went back to the apartment. I needed clothes, my computer, my hard drives with years of work on them. I went during the day, broad daylight, with my sister waiting in the car outside. The apartment looked exactly as I'd left it. The speaker was still unplugged on the nightstand. I grabbed a duffel bag and started throwing things in. That's when I noticed the crawlspace door. It was in my bedroom closet. A small wooden panel I'd never paid much attention to. Landlord had mentioned it once during the walkthrough, said it led to the foundation access, but it was nailed shut, hadn't been opened in decades. The panel was covered in the same chipping white paint as the walls, but now there was a thin line of light coming from the edges. It wasn't nailed shut anymore. I should have left, should have walked out and never come back. But I was tired of being afraid, tired of not knowing. I grabbed a screwdriver from my kitchen drawer and pried the panel open. The smell hit me first. Earth, mold, and something else. Something sweet and chemical, like air freshener trying too hard to cover something worse. I shined my phone flashlight into the crawl space. Shallow, maybe 3 feet high, dirt floor and old wooden support beams. And at the far end, tucked against the foundation wall, was a speaker, an old one, the kind with visible wires and a fabric grill, connected to a tangle of wires that ran along the beams and disappeared into the wall. Next to the speaker was a digital recorder, the kind journalists use. Its red light was blinking steadily. I crawled inside, my knees sinking into the cold dirt. I grabbed the recorder. It had one file on it, dated over and over again for the past month. I pressed play. My voice filled the crawl space. The same loop I'd heard in my bedroom. The begging, the pleading, the sounds of a struggle. It was a recording of someone who sounded exactly like me, being attacked somewhere I couldn't see. I dropped it and scrambled out of there so fast I split my palm on a rusty nail. I called the police from my sister's car. 2 detectives came to the apartment, crawled into the space, took the recorder and the speaker. They asked me a lot of questions. Had I made the recording? Did I know who did? Did I have any enemies? I told them everything. The whispers, the voice, the fear. They looked at me the way people look at someone they're not sure is telling the truth. The investigation went nowhere. The recorder had no fingerprints besides mine. The speaker was a common model sold at any electronics store. The wires led to a junction box in the basement that serviced all 4 apartments. They couldn't trace which unit had tapped into it. The landlord claimed he had no idea the crawlspace was accessible. Said the panel had been sealed for years. He looked genuinely shaken when he said it. But I don't know if I believe him. They never found who made the recording. They never found out whose voice it was, because it wasn't mine. I know that now. It was someone who sounded exactly like me, saying words I'd never said, in a voice that was identical to mine in every way. The detectives ran voice analysis. They said the probability of 2 people having voices that indistinguishable was astronomically low. But they couldn't explain the recording. They couldn't explain how it got into the crawlspace. They couldn't explain why. I moved out a week later. I live in a new apartment now, 3rd floor of a modern building. No crawl spaces, no basements. I don't own a smart speaker. I sleep with a fan for white noise. I've learned to ignore the occasional creaks and groans of a building settling. But there are things I can't ignore, things I'll never understand. I still don't know who made that recording. I don't know if it was meant for me specifically, or if I was just the one who happened to move into an apartment with a secret speaker in the wall. I don't know if whoever put it there is still watching, still waiting, still listening. And the question that wakes me up at 3 a.m. every single night, my heart pounding, my eyes wide in the darkness, if that recording was a loop, playing over and over for weeks before I found it, then who or what was the voice on the recording begging for? And more importantly, is whoever did that to her still out there, looking for another voice that sounds exactly like mine?